Ferdinand Revolution Lab, it's Waco, your trusty host. Let me start with my traditional multicultural greeting. Hello, bonjour, ciao ragazzi, ni hao. What else can I do? Namasate, shalom, and salam alaikum habibis. Here with Vincent and Jonathan from Ferdinand Berthoud, and today I have the pleasure of listening to them as they present their latest timepiece.
So this year we've decided, based on these feedbacks that we have among the collectors, the journalists, is that we will not introduce a single reference, just a watch. We will introduce a movement limited to 20 pieces, but which can be housed either in the octagonal case or in the round case. So it will be limited to 20 pieces. You have here one of the two variations that we'll be introducing. Yeah, exactly, the octagonal case in Carburize Steel. But this movement can also go into the round case with this, which will be the rose gold case at first that we'll be introducing.
Amazing. Can I pause for a second? So I just want to kind of back up a little bit. And so what you're launching this year is essentially a new movement. This new movement is Skeletonised, right? So yes. For the first time, you can see the tourbillon, the magnificent tourbillon all the way through from the front of the watch as well as the back. So in the initial Ferdinand Berthoud watch, I think the thing was that you wanted to keep it discreet. So when you turn the watch over, that's when you could see the magnificence of this oversized tourbillon and this incredible chain and fusée mechanism. This is the first time, in fact, that this mechanism has been laid bare, even in the front of the watch. So from the front of the watch, you can see, and from what I can see, it's a similar architecture to the initial watch. It's just that you've created this beautiful new bridge and opened the entire base plate of the watch as well, right? So you have this, like from the front of the watch, you can see the tourbillon, you can see the really cool mechanism you have for the power reserve indicator as well. And then when you turn it over, you can see this beautiful chain and fusée mechanism. Just a quick note for you guys. Sorry, that's Bandit the Revolution dog. So Ferdinand Berthoud was really famous for his marine chronometers. And these were watches that were, these were timepieces or clocks that were placed on board ships so the ships could recognize what their longitude was. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. So
that means you wanted to have the most accurate watch possible. So the way it would work is this watch would be set to the reference time of the home city, the city that you would leave from, right? And then you find the local time using a tool that would tell you the height of the sun from the horizon. And then using the difference between these two times, you would determine exactly where you were in terms of longitude. Now, the thing was, until watchmakers like Ferdinand Berthoud were able to make watches that precise. In fact, it was incredibly dangerous to try to go crossing the oceans because you really couldn't tell where you were most of the time. You were guessing, you know? And I think a lot of the most famous discoveries previous to the marine chronometer happened basically by accident. So I love the fact that every part of this watch is essentially related to precision, right? The chain and fusée, for example, is related to making sure that the quality of torque from the mainspring remains consistent over the entire lifespan of the power reserve, which would be badly affected because actually the tourbillon mechanism is heavier than a traditional balance and escapement, so that if you have a diminishing torque, it's amplified by this. But now you have constant torque, which is great. Then you have the tourbillon, which was created by another famous watchmaker, Abraham Louis Breguet, which was a mechanism to resolve the errors caused on the regulator by gravity. So you've got, huge invention number one, the chain and fusée, and then huge invention number two together in one watch, which is no wonder you guys won the Grand Prix in 2016 for the Aiguille d'Or. So bravo. So Vincent, take it away. Tell us about this new movement, this sort of beautiful bride laid bare to her suitors, in the words of Marcel Duchamp.
Yes, for us, in fact, we reworked the caliber, the regulator movement we introduced in 2018. We completely reworked the movement so that to have this possibility to highlight the tourbillon carriage from the dial side. And that was really a request from collectors around the world that say, wow, your watches are amazing, but we never see enough from the movement side, from the front. So we take the time to think about keeping the DNA of the watch and to make a semi-skeleton movement it is actually not possible to have more skeleton on the structure because of the fusee and chain. The torque between the two elements of the barrel and the fusee doesn't allow to skeletize more the movement. So we make as much as possible, but considering the resistance of the movement that must kept safe during wearing, of course. Then it was not just opening; it was reworking the movement. We changed at least 40% of the movement parts if you consider with the initial caliber. And especially we introduced an amazing tourbillon bridge with two arms that are mirror polish, and they have each arm of the tourbillon has a different angle, and that's extremely difficult to polish. We needed more than 1 year trials until we reached this absolute perfection. And what is funny, this tourbillon bridge is, if I can say, blinking, because the light play on the surface of the arms, and one is shiny, the other one is looking dark, is black. So it's impossible to have both shiny at the same times. And when you wear the watch on the wrist, you have this constant movement of the light on this tourbillon bridge, and that gives a very unique effect to the watch. So that not to hide the tourbillon, at 6 o'clock, we have developed a Sapphire Ring to have the second scale engraved on it. And it is translucid at 6 o'clock and matte from the rest of the surface to have the best possible reading of the second. Precision is always at the center of all of our movements. For the first time, we decided to, after all the hand decoration, the beveling, the chamfering and everything, we decided to use a black PVD coating on all the nickel silver surface of the movement, to have this very dark but shiny effect on the movement. Also to give a more, if I can say so, sporty style to the watch. Because also we want to show that our watches are not only classical, but for us we have freedom. As long we respect the DNA of the brand, the integrity of the philosophy of our brand, then we can go different field of creativity. And this one is open worked, but also very sporty looking. And we hope this will touch a different public, maybe younger collectors that wants to have a more powerful watch on the wrist, something different. And then, of course, the rest of the regulator is similar to the 2018 model. You have the hour displayed on a large sapphire disc at 2 o'clock, the minute displayed by a hand, a gold hand that is blued by CVD coating at 12 o'clock, and the power reserve with this complex device of mobile cone, flat levers, and this famous spiral spring that we use to compensate the play between all the elements and to give the necessary torque to this power reserve mechanism, that everything stay together in function with the mobile cone. So then you have, as Jonathan mentioned, the possibility to have different materials. Here we introduce the octagonal case with this famous Carburize stainless steel that the surface has been hardened by changing the molecular structure of the watch. That means this material is as hard as more or less diamond. We reach 1,200 Vicus.
Wow.
So it's more or less impossible to scratch.
Well, how do you carburize steel?
That's a very complex process. We first produce completely the case, all the elements, and then we send it to a specialized manufacturer that change the molecular structure. The big problem we have with this work is that we have a lot of defective parts. And it is extremely difficult then to adjust the all necessary to put the screws and so on, the bolts. That's why it's a very expensive treatment, but also because of the defective parts. you can consider easily between 15 to 20% defective parts.
Wow.
It's much more expensive than just producing a stainless steel case. And of course, we introduced also the other model. The prototype was not ready yet, is the round case in rose gold. The rose gold case, the FB2 case, is slimmer than the one we use for the remontoir d'égalité. Of course, for every movement, we have to adapt the case size to have the slimmest watch as possible. That's why we also need time. As Jonathan mentioned, the most, for us, challenging point and also the change of business model is really to have this limited edition to the movement and no longer to the variance of the case material. 20 movements produced, so the collectors knows exactly how many we will produce from each caliber that we will introduce from now, and they can have it in different variants. For us, it was quite challenging to change completely this business model, but we believe it's very important to be totally transparent to the collectors and to safeguard their interests so that they have no surprise discovering that it was not 20 watches produced, but maybe 25 or 30. So they exactly know how many we produce, and we can even communicate on how many variants have been produced. So if you have somebody ask me a platinum that we have not introduced, it will be part of this 20, and it will be part, so it's always limited and numbered, but to the movement. And that's really a change of a business model. But we believe it's really important to put the interest of the collectors at the center of our work.
Wow. The first thing, I was just looking at this movement through the loop, or this watch through the loop, and I have to say it's breathtaking. The first thing that I notice is the mirror polish, or speculaire, on the tourbillon bridge and the different angles it adopts, and it's just absolutely stunning. And the second thing I notice is that the main bridge that is incorporating the hour indicator and then the minute indicator, it's got internal angles, right? So
yes, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they almost went out of their way to create internal angles. And internal angles means that, like, when you're doing the anglage, it has to be done by hand. There's no way you can do it by machine. And they've got like right angles, right internal angles, which is the hardest, which is almost like they wanted to show how much handwork goes into this movement, which I adore. I love the configuration of the regulator, which was created in 2018, where you have this glass disc for the hours that's at 2 o'clock, and then you've got the minutes at 12, and yeah, as I mentioned before, the power reserve at 10 o'clock. But I think the thing that we need to talk about also is this massive seconds hand, right? This massive seconds hand is important, first of all, because it harks back to regulators, which were clocks that had each of the indications decentralized, usually focusing on the seconds to be as precise as possible. But also, this second hand allows this watch to be cost certified, right, as an actual chronometer. And that's really important because there's so many people that create tourbillons, and the whole essence, the whole raison d'etre of a tourbillon is it's meant to be a precision device. Yeah. So for me, if you make a tourbillon and you do not cost certify this watch, in some ways you're giving zero proof that it actually has any real value as a precision device. And I can count on one hand, the first brand in the world that ever cost certified their tourbillons was Patek Philippe. The second was Chopard LUC. I don't know if you've heard of this brand, but it's very good. So in the early 2000s, I believe it was 2003, they came out with a tourbillon with four barrels, and as well a cost-certified tourbillon. Fantastic watch. And then, recently, I think Tag Heuer started doing it because they wanted to show that their tourbillon chronograph, initially it was a Besançon, but then it became a cost certification. But this, I love the fact that this is cost certified, and you've got this massive seconds hand to almost show off that look how precise our watch is. It's got real. And then I love the fact, like, if you like the architecture of movements, what you'll love about this watch is the following. If you look through the front of the watch, if you look at the tourbillon bridge and you look at how the tourbillon is mounted, you'll see the tourbillon, you'll see that there's a fixed seconds wheel. So around this fixed seconds wheel is the escapement wheel, which is, powering around this wheel. But then there's a second seconds wheel, right? And this seconds wheel is driving the central seconds wheel, which is driving the seconds hand. So it's such an elegant statement of like watchmaking know-how. It's phenomenal, right?
Thank you.
I love it. And the logic, because of course the second seconds wheel, which is at the bottom of the tourbillon, right? It's going in a counterclockwise direction, but then that powers the wheel that's a center seconds wheel in the clockwise direction. So it's such logical watchmaking. It's vraie horlogerie. You know what I mean? It's phenomenal. Listen, guys, I absolutely love it. I love everything about it. I also like the fact that you made this case with a new form of steel I've never heard of before. I can only imagine the process of it probably far outweighs the cost of the actual steel by a very large margin, but it's so cool that you've made steel at like the Vickers hardness of diamond. I love the watch. I think it's fantastic. So bravo. I can't wait to see the round case version of the watch as well. And I love the fact that you're giving collectors the opportunity to make, whichever version they would prefer. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. And you're right, 2 completely different watches as a result.
Yeah, it's a different identity, but yeah, the DNA remained the same for this collection. And 2 different approach, but we believe that, to leave the freedom of choice for the customer is very important, because at the end, it's really a matter of taste. We are focusing on the technique, what we are doing the best. Also, like Ferdinand Berthoud at his epoch, his time, he was a watchmaker doing the marine clocks, focusing on really the technique to have the most precise timekeepers. And here we are kind of doing the same with focusing on this new movement, limited to 20 pieces, and then the collector can choose either to have the round case or the octagonal.
Amazing. And, guys, when is this watch going to be launched? Like, when will it be available to collectors to order?
We hope to deliver the first watches to the market before the summertime, in June.
Fabulous. This will be, I think the steel one in particular is a great summer watch, If you're on your boat, you can actually try navigating the old way, right? Finding longitude the old way. Gentlemen, Jonathan and Vincent, hey, bravo, guys. Love the watch. Spectacular job. Thank you so much for joining me, and congratulations again.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you very much.
Where is Bandit? Okay. I was going to show you the dog, but at least she finally fell asleep, so let's let her be there. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.